was Gabriela Juarez, who was removed and arrested for going over her time on a public comment during the Presidential Search Committee meeting that occurred on October 1st. Juarez was there with other students who are a part of the student organization Students for a Democratic Society, also known as SDS. The organization says that they were there to protest the lack of student input on the LSU Presidential Search Committee. 6 students were taken into custody and put into a holding cell, and Juarez was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison on charges of resisting an officer and prohibition of interference with educational process.
I gave public comment at this committee. And, my 3 minutes that I was allotted finished, and I, told the board that I intended to keep speaking. I intended to keep speaking because I felt that it was deeply unfair that, students who are the ones who have to bear the consequences of the decisions being made by that board, we don't have really any voice on the board whatsoever. We don't have any kind of representation. We don't have any kind of say.
The issue of freedom of speech has affected students, organizations, and staff on LSU's campus. Protests and open discussion events have taken place on the university's Free Speech Alley, or FSA, where students share their opinions on the topic. SDS has held many protests in FSA, sharing their beliefs and pressuring LSU's authority on freedom of speech rights. Enola Geyer was one of the organization members who protested and was taken into custody alongside Juarez. Geyer has been with the organization for about a year and a half and warns about the lack of student representation on the university's Board of Representatives.
Students deserve to at least have somewhat of a say in who's going to be running their university, especially when they pay tuition and when these people, have control over pretty much everything that happens around the university. I think that only having one student on the board who isn't even on this campus and 2 faculty leaders on the board is unacceptable.
The decision for LSU's next president was set for the end of this year. However, the protests on October 1st seemed to have rushed officials into making a decision sooner than expected, with the new decision date being before Thanksgiving or sooner. LSU law professor Ken Levy has experienced suppression of his First Amendment right as well. In January of this year, Levy was teaching his first criminal procedure class and shared his opinions on political figures in our country. Levy was then suspended for, quote-unquote, making allegedly inappropriate remarks in class. He has fought these claims with appeals and lawsuit actions. However, Levy remains suspended from teaching at the university.
Every day that they don't end it is a choice they're making. So one thing they could dramatically do to improve their compliance with the First Amendment is to end my suspension. If they don't like the speech I engaged in, first of all, tough luck, because that speech is perfectly protected by the First Amendment, which they have to comply with. But if they want to, for example, ban profanity.
For 91.1 KLSU Baton Rouge, I am Makenzie Holderbein.